just do some introductions first. Okay, so, and I hope more people are going to join, but I'm adding in the chat a WhatsApp group as well that you can join. And for the guys that later on will listen to the recording, also you can just send me a WhatsApp with a course name, and I'll add you to the group. So just for everyone on this session, tonight is for DSC 1630, and tomorrow morning there's a session for DSC 1520. Okay, so please, you can send me emails, you can WhatsApp me. I will also during the session again just put my WhatsApp number on here, so that whenever you want to join, please again just send me a WhatsApp. Then also tonight we're going to go through study units 2 and 3 if we've got enough time. Basically looking at simple and compound interest rates. But please also send me your due dates of your assignments and what you need to cover in those assignments, that we also can just get some alignment between the sessions and your assignment due dates, so that if we need to work quicker to get to some of the assignments, we will also plan that. Okay, so basically tonight, and again, I hope more people join, but also stop me at any time. We can chat on any of the examples that we go through. What I will also do at the end of the session, the video will be uploaded to YouTube. I'll share the link on the WhatsApp group. I'll share the link or the presentation on the WhatsApp group as well, but also both the presentation and the YouTube clip will be also on my Unisa. And hopefully next time, Bronwyn or one of the team will also show you how to get access to all of those areas to get to that. Okay, so let's start with simple interest. So the first component that we will look at is simple interest and discount. We also tried to finish compound interest tonight, and then the next session will probably focus on annuities. Okay, and then we'll do the rest as we go through the study unit. Okay, so just some of the topics and things that I think it's important. We look at simple interest again as we go through this study unit, DSC 1630. Please, there's things that you don't need to do, so don't go and study formulas towards where in the next 2 or 3 weeks I will share with you guys a formula page that covers everything that you need to know, again, which you can use in the exam. I'll also share some other tools that you can use. I'll show some of the calculations that we will be able to do on Excel as well as on a on a small computer, a financial computer, but again, or calculator. But again, if you don't have a calculator, don't go and spend too much on a calculator if you are able to work in Excel. Um, all the functions that we will need to do even later on is available on Excel. So I will definitely show you how to use Excel when needed as well. Okay, so we will cover simple interest, some of the formulas, simple discount, which is a bit different, but looking nearly at the same as simple interest. Some correlations between simple interest and discount, and then we'll go into compound interest and some of the other equations within in compound interest as well. Okay, so I think the first thing that when we look at simple interest, um, the most important thing with simple interest is, and if you look at how it is calculated, and let's quickly just get highlighter. So if you look at, and that is just the interest, how we calculate the interest component. So in questions, and you might have seen it already in your first assignment, when it comes to simple interest, they can phrase it nearly in two ways. The one is that you need to calculate the interest, or it can be that they give you an amount that you start off with, and during the process where you calculate the interest, you need to give the final amount. So that is normally the two things that they will task you in the simple interest environment. So basically, one is to calculate the interest, and then the other one is when we have the beginning value, we've got the interest rate and time, that we work out what your final payment will be. So that is also basically the two most important formulas in the simple interest component that you will work with. Um, things that might now become things that they would differ in questions is maybe your time is in days, so that you need to count days and divide it by 365, or it might be that you work with months and then you need to divide by 12. Um, it can be also that they give you quarter information and say you need to work with 2 quarters, and then you might divide by 4. So the only thing nearly that can be different is that they change some of the time that you need to use. So instead of say 5 years, they tell you it's in days, it's in months, or it's in quarters. So that nearly is the important one also to look out for in your questions. Then what they also like to do, and you will never be asked this because again it's online, you will get a question with multiple choice, so you will never have to in a question show how you draw a timeline. But what is important is to, and again, depending on how you guys look at these questions, but sometimes it's nice to draw a timeline for yourself. So if you know that there was an upfront, say, payment of 1,000, and there's simple interest calculated on it, and then there's another payment maybe 6 months later, it's sometimes easier to see it on a timeline and then to see what is needed in that and how you need to calculate it. But again, the timeline one is more for yourself, so they will never ask you to draw a timeline or anything like that in an exam. So it's actually just for you to check if, or to make it easier for yourself. So I don't think in study unit 2 or 3 it's really that much of an issue, but when we get to study unit 4 and 5, where there is instances where they tell you that you invest for a certain time, and then after 6 months you invest more, and after 2 years you invest more sometimes, then it is nice to draw the timeline. But when we get to those more difficult ones, again, we will work together and show you how to do it. Then what you will also see in your assignments is where they talked about simple interest, there's also a simple discount. So this is nearly the third question or formula that is important. And just like the simple interest, what you're calculating first year is only the discount. So again, they can ask you two things. They can ask you what is the discount amount, or they can ask you what is the value after you incorporated the discount rate. So again, like the simple interest where they give you that you can either work out the interest rate plus that you need to give the final amount. The same with discount. They can ask you to just work out the discount amount, or they can ask you to work out the full amount at the end of a period. To the guys just joining, let me quickly copy and paste the WhatsApp chat group. So I've created a WhatsApp chat group for this. Subject, please, if you want to join it, you can. I'll share documents on there. I'll share also when our next sessions are. The recordings and all of those things will be on the WhatsApp group. So please click on the link and join it. And if you can't do it from this session, my cell phone number to join the WhatsApp group is 0837908387. So just again, you can just send me a WhatsApp with saying add me to the DSC1630 group. Okay. So basically, again, simple interest, simple discount. Then the very important, and this is also you will see in your study guide. I think it's at the back of the study guide. There's a table for you to actually count days. I'll check later on what the page is, but I know it's at the end of a study guide. So you will have in your assignments and in the exam, there will be a question on this where you need to use days. So what they will normally ask you is, and I have an example like that in here as well, but what they will normally tell you is you've maybe got R1,000 that you invest simple interest rate from say 25 May till 11 August. And then by using, okay, it's back again. We just fix the, so then by using that table at the end of your study guide, you will then basically need to work out how many days it is, and then in your simple interest formula, and I don't have that table now, but in your simple interest formula, whatever that amount of days is, we will divide by 365. Okay, so that will be one of the things. If it wasn't already in one of the assignments, you will definitely get it in the assignments and in the exam. They love to ask the counting days one. And again, the table will be, so when you write the exam, it is normally open book as well, so you have access to that table in your study guide. Okay, so let's look at a question that and hopefully let me see if I can move it a bit and make it also bigger. Okay, so this might be also a question that you can expect in the in your assignment, or again in the exam. So what they like to ask also is, you can see they give you the simple interest rate. They give you a simple interest rate. They give you a time period. So now they tell you it's 63 days. So what they can also do is say it is between this day and another day, so that you need to go to that table. And now they ask you, okay, but if this is the simple interest rate, please calculate the simple discount rate from there. Okay, so that is a question that they can ask you. I hope, since I last have seen the assignments, but you guys can please tell me as well. They have started to remove none of the above, and only give you actually options that, but it will be nice to get a view, because I assume you probably would have needed to complete the assignment already. And if you didn't have to, it will be nice later on to just tell me if it was actually that you needed to, if there was none of the above still in the options, but I know they wanted to move away from it. Okay, so what would you guys do in this instance? How would you solve something like this? Any ideas that we can try? So basically moving from simple interest to simple discount.
I think we need to find a formula.
Quickly repeat that, sorry. We need to
I think we
find.
need to identify the formula.
Perfect. Okay, so let's first write out the formula for both, so that we can see what is in both formulas. So let's quickly. We know that the simple interest rate. So let's quickly look at. Okay, so that is for one. And maybe if they don't give us all the other information, we can probably use, let me quickly go back to my slides. We can use that formula. So let's quickly copy that in. See if that will work. No, it was only a yellow line. Okay, so let me quickly write that over. It is interest PRT. Let's quickly, I hope you can still see the screen. Okay, so it's interest equal to PRT. Okay. And then for the discount, we also had the formula. Discount is equal to SDT. Okay, so discount is equal to so that is two things that we can look at. Will that help us? What is things that are similar? So let's quickly go to this one. So I can just quickly copy this out. I just want to so that we can add another one to the into the mix. Okay, so there's another formula. So if we would have now worked with that R and the D, we would have basically gotten to that. So again, it was 100% correct to say we need to work with the formulas. But what I've now done here is actually what was created, so you don't need to worry about and to prove it or anything like that anymore. We work with it. So it is also in your study guide. Let me just quickly go to the page where it is. It's around page 13, 14, 15. Let me quickly, so that you can just, so if you go, you can look at pages nearly 16, 16 to 19, and in 19 and 20 there's also the summary of some of the formulas that's used. Okay, so basically we can now calculate it with this formula that they give us, where again we will need to do some changes to this formula. We've got the simple interest rate. So if they gave us simple discount, we would have just included the discount, the period, and we would have gotten the interest rate, or the simple interest rate. Now they give us the simple interest rate, so there's a few things that we will need to calculate out of this one. So firstly, let's change the formula a bit. So to get rid of that, of this below the line, we need to cancel it out, or how we do it is to multiply at the top on both sides. So if I multiply this by that, you will see that will cancel out, but I need to multiply on the other side. So let me just write it here. So the formula will look like that. So now you will see we have D on this side, but we still need to nearly get rid of that D. So unfortunately, a bit of calculation on both sides. And it's interesting, I hope that will disappear soon. So we'll do that. Then I will need to take that to that side. So I want all the D's on one side. So if it's minus on this side, if I take it over, it will become positive. So on this side, I have RDT. Then I want to isolate the D's. So I can take the D out. I'm left here with 1, because 1 times D is D. And then I'm left with, if I take D out, with RT. That's still equal to R. And then I divide by 1 plus RT. Which will be equal to D. Okay, so now I have isolated my D because I want the simple discount. Okay, so now we can look at this and just replace what we have. So R is 0,1858. If you use percentage, just remember to press the percentage that it picks it up as a decimal. And then we will divide by 1 plus, so R is still the 0,1858. And then with 63, if they don't give us how many days in the year, we assume it's 365. Okay, so we assume we're not worried about if it is 366 or 360. We assume it is 365. Sometimes they will tell you you're working with a year of 360 or something like that, but then they need to tell you. Else, please always work with the number of days in a year is 365. Okay, and then we will need to calculate this. So At the top, it will stay the same. At the bottom, 0.185 times 63 divided by 365 gives me 0.03193. And I need to add 1 to it. So I basically get 0.1858 divided by, and there goes my screen again, divided by 1.0319. Okay, and if we then do that sum, I hope we get one of answers. Oof, times 100. Okay, so I get 18%. So let's quickly check with this one. So you can see they also did what I did. It just took a bit longer. So I shortened the process a bit. So again, when I share this, you can use it. So I shortened the process a bit because I don't like to work like they did with fractions. I hate using fractions, so yeah, I used it a bit different, but in the end, you will get to the same answer. And what as a tip, um, what is important is that if this is your simple interest rate, your discount rate is always smaller than your interest rate. So how I normally look at this is that I would have cancelled out because your discount rate will always be smaller than your simple interest rate. And I would have cancelled that out because it is never the same. So and that's why I nearly ask about if any of your assignment that you have done thus far had none of the above in as options, because at least if you're in a rush and you need then to guess, there's only 2 options and not 4 or 5 options. So your simple discount rate will always be smaller than your simple interest rate. Okay, so this was, and it might have been, if you guys can just let me know in the chat when your first assignment is due, or if it actually was due already. And then when your second assignment is due, and what study units that is on, then we can plan, I can plan my next session around that as well. Okay, so simple interest versus simple discount. They love to ask this. So I really hope this will, if they ask it in assignments, then you can use it. If they ask it in the exam, also you can print this stuff out. You can save it on your PC or somewhere that you can get access to it, and please use it. Okay, so the whole formula with the answers is in the presentation as well. Okay, then here is one that on Monday. Okay, what topic, what study units is for one on Monday that you need to focus on? It might be that we can arrange a session on Monday evening if it actually works for you guys as well. Probably too late on Monday, but it might give you just some time then to actually use it. But yeah, please, thanks for. Okay, so at least we will hopefully end with the whole chapter 3 tonight. So that at least it covers that. So it might be then that we just add a session on Monday and maybe say 5 o'clock or something like that. That if needed, you still have some time after the session to complete. So we can chat on the WhatsApp group around that. The guys that joined late, please, I've created a WhatsApp group for this study unit. So please, on that link, you can click and join the group, or you can just send me a WhatsApp later tonight on 0837908387, and then I will add you to the WhatsApp group. Then I think we should probably get in a session on Monday, maybe 5 to 6:30 or something like that, so that we cover at least up until 4.2, so that you guys that we're on par with what you need to do, that you don't miss out on another assignment without some assistance. Okay. So the next question that we're looking at is, again, we look at simple interest. We need to count the days. So they say between 5 and 16 August. So that will be where, again, you go to the back of your study guide. You look at that table that is there for counting days. But then the rest, we've got the present value is 4,500. So again, don't worry about remembering the formula. We have it there. We've got it as S is equal to P1 plus RT. So we don't need to remember it. So we've got that is for 4,500. We've got R, which is the 15%. And then we need to work out how many days. So how many days, if you guys have the study guide with you, how many days did you count? Does anybody have a study guide with them to maybe see if you can look at how many days? I would guess, let's quickly, June is 20, July is 31. Yes.
Days.
Can you quickly repeat that?
103 days.
104.
Found 103.
Okay, 103. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. So let's quickly check. 103 is spot on. So again, that table is given to you. It is in the back of your study guide. So the only thing that we now need to then do is we have 103, so that divided by 365 gives you 0.2822. We times that by 15%, it gives us 0.04233. And then we multiply it by 4,500. Which then, oi, let me quickly see, what did I now do wrong? 103 divided by 365 times 0.15 in 0.04233 plus 1, 0 is that, times 4500. I am not getting one of those numbers, so let's quickly see.
I think we are given the sum. We're supposed to calculate the P.
Why did I now misread that? The present value of a loan. Thank you for that. I just assumed because they said present value that it is for 4,500. I didn't read the whole thing. Okay, so again, please don't make that silly mistakes what I now did. The present value of a loan on 5 May, if it accumulates to 4,500, I just assume because they said present value. So please, sure, that is, at least I did not get, and this time they did not give me one of the answers. So I would have taken quite some time to get to that in the end, but would have picked up the mistake. Okay, so we've given the S, we need to calculate the P, so basically it's going to be 4,500 divided by the 1 point, and you can round it off to that. And that answer then is 4317.26. So 4317. You can see that, and that is unfortunately, and you can play around with it a bit. If you change that to 104, you will probably get the 4315. If you change that to 102, you will probably get the 4318. So very important, more that than that you do the counting of the days correctly, because there will be, if you miscount it by 1 day, there will be an option for you as well. Okay, the other thing that I think is important to note is, yeah, I read it incorrect, but if I read it correctly, if your end value is 4,500 and you're working with simple interest, your beginning value can't be more than the 4,500. So that, again, cannot be an option, because you can't go backwards. If it was simple discount, then it's something different. But with simple interest rate, your end value will always be bigger than your beginning value. So if that is your end value, your beginning value should be smaller than that. Okay, so that option 4, we could have eliminated from the start. Okay, so again, and I'm glad that I did, or that you showed me that I've made a mistake with my calculation, because if in my process that I followed, and I thought that was the beginning, then the only values that can be at the end is bigger, I would not have even calculated anything. I would have gone straight to that, because that's the only one that was bigger. So thank you for showing me the mistake. So again, when you read your questions, read everything, and don't assume that because they talk about present value, that is what you actually need to calculate. Okay, again, the process is shown. Again, what is important out of the counting days is, so you will see that in your table, you check what is the 16th of August, you take that day, or that number, and you subtract exactly as you say, the number that is associated with the 5th of May. So please don't say, but it only begins at the 6th of May, or no, it ended with 15 because we don't include the 20 or the 16. So if I don't tell you anything around those 2 days, that it is the end or the evening or the morning or anything like that, please take it as from 5th to 16 in your calculations. Just take the number associated with those 2 days. Okay, that is important. So please, from 16 or from 5 to 16. Okay, then the other thing that we talk about, and actually all of this, so study unit 2, study unit 3, it looks at, and again, it can be already have been in your first assignment, that they can ask you during that timeline, what is your investment after 6 months? And then what is your investment after 12 months? So this is just nearly want to show you the time value of money and how your value of money hopefully increases during the time of that it is getting interest. On the simple interest, it is basically just a simple interest rate that is calculated at the end of the term or whenever. And think about simple interest as you invest money, you get interest on it, and you take that money. The compound interest that we will cover now in the next part is where interest is calculated, and the next period, that interest that you actually gotten on the sum or on the amount, you get interest again. So compound interest is basically where you get interest on interest, which is why everybody always say put money away because you get interest on interest. So from simple interest, we go into the chapter of compound interest. The only thing in your formula that is going to change is with a simple interest, we had it as 1 plus RT. So what will happen when we move to compound is that will still be the same. Let me just so that will all be the same when we look at compound interest. The 1 will also be the same, so that's not the problem. The interest will also be the same. So where the only move comes in that we will have to the power of your period. And the reason for that is because we are getting, as we say, interest on interest. So that is where it will be. Okay, so that is the biggest difference between your simple interest formula and your compound interest formula. Okay. So again, some of the things that we've talked about, it's set out here for you. Again, you can just use the slides, and this will be the formula that we will work with. Things in this formula that now can be changed is that interest can, like in your simple interest, it can be given as monthly, it can be given as quarterly, it can be given as yearly, as daily. So the only thing, and I've got 1 or 2 slides later on in any case, is so if it becomes, say, monthly, what we also need to change is the period. So then we must just make sure that our timeline or our timing is exactly the same. So if we divide our interest by 12, our interest rate, we need to remember that we're not then working with 1 year, we're actually working with 12 months. Okay, so that's just the thing that we need to remember. So you will see a few different of these formulas that they show you a JN or other numbers or symbols that they use. All that is actually just a different interest rate period or calculation that is used. Okay, so let's quickly go to the next one. Okay, so here you will see what I nearly said. So so what can happen is that was now the original. We can, if they give us S and we need to calculate P, we can, like with that one of simple interest, we can basically shovel it around to to calculate the present value. Also, here you could see, so if we look at a different time period, we will just need to times that in that time period with, so if it is months, we need to times it with months. If it is quarters, that will be 4, then our time would also need to times by 4. So again, this I will share, but it's also in your study guide in any case that you can use it. Okay, the other thing that you guys might have seen already in your first assignment is that sometimes they can ask you, so again, we need to manipulate the original formula, but that you might need to calculate the number of days, or it might be that you need to work out the timelines, but those two are exactly the same. So it might be that you need to work out something like that. I've got a example of that as well that we will go through now. The important thing with that, but let's get to that example. I think, okay, we're going to get to that example. The one thing that, and let's mention it here, we can mention it again when we get to the example. So if they give you the information that you need to, say, work with months, then you need to remember whatever this n is going to be, we will still need to multiply it by 12. Okay, so, and what will happen is, so let's say you work it out, you get it saying it's 0.5 years. One of your answers will be 0.5. But because it is supposedly in months, we need to multiply it by 12, which will then give you actually 6 months. And then you will see one of the options is maybe 6 as well. So just be very careful when you're doing these questions, that it might be that in the question they refer to months or to quarters, and then just remember your end answer must also be in months or in quarters. But I have somewhere one of those questions. Okay, so this one, if you look at it, let's look at what they ask us and then what we need to do. So Tito bought a stamp collection for 140,000. For 10 years, the value of the collection increased yearly by 28%. Okay, for 10 years. Thereafter, the value increased yearly by 5%. The amount of money that Tito can expect to receive if he sells his collection after owing it for 19 years. Okay, so again, let's do a timeline. And let me just again do, I see if there's more people joined from since we started. Please, if you want to join my WhatsApp group that I have for this group, you can, I'm going to put in a link that you can join, click on the link and join it. Else you can just send me a WhatsApp on 0837908387. What I'll do later this evening, I'll load the session, will be uploaded, and I'll share a link to the WhatsApp group. I will also send you the presentation. It will also be on my Unisa, but I'll then share it with you guys as well on the WhatsApp group. Okay, so for this one, so we start off with 140,000, so 140K. For the first 10 years, he gets interest of 28%. And then for the next 9 years, so that is 10 years, and then for the next 9 years, he gets 5%. Okay, so one can do this on two ways. You can say 140, you work out the period after 10 years, you get a value, you use that value, and then you work it out for the next 9 years at 5%. So that's a way that you can do it. But because it is compound interest, you can also take a shortcut. So you can start off with 140,000. We put in the first formula of it, or the first one. Remember, it's for 10 years. And then we can just say that let's multiply it by the next portion as well. And that is for 9 years. Let's just check for 10 years, yearly by 28%, thereafter value increase yearly by 5%, the amount of money that Tito can expect to receive if he sells his collection after 19 years. Okay, so what also happened, they said to you the first one is 10 years. They never told you the second period is 9 years. Okay, so that you needed to get from the 19 minus the 10. So then we can calculate it on this method. So let me, if just write, and if you guys can just check later on, I'm just rounding it off to 4 decimals. The numbers are not that close to one another that it will not be will be impacted if I round it off to 4 decimals. So hopefully there is an answer for this. Yeah, so I get that answer is going to be 2564. And okay, so if I now, with my rounding off, mine is 032. So obviously with the rounding off, it is a bit different, but there is enough for me to say, well, that is the answer. Okay, so
Hello, sir.
yes.
My answer is 2564079.
Perfect. That is what it should be. That is, did you round off or not round off?
No, it's 2564079,13.
Perfect. Perfect. That is so you can round it off to a full amount. That is perfect. And you will not have in the in a question like this, you will not have a comma anything, and you will also not have now suddenly another answer that is something like this. So you will not, if you look at these type of questions, you will not get the ones that is very close to one another, because just by way that the different calculators are programmed. So perfect, the answer that you got. Okay, and you could see when we calculate it, they also did the same. They actually used the two periods together, so that you don't need to first work it out, get the answer, and then multiply. Okay, so perfect with that answer. Again, the answer will be shared with the presentation so that you can look at that as well. Okay, then the next one that we see in this study unit is that they talk about nominal and effective interest rates. So what they will normally do, and again, if it wasn't in your assignment already that you've done, the one that you will do for Monday will definitely have a question in that says change from nominal to effective, or change from effective to nominal. So that will also happen. Again, we have an example, but first I share it with you in the slide pack, but it's also in your study guide, the way to get from nominal to effective. So let's look at something like this. Okay, that should have been part of simple interest. So we can later, if we have time, go back to that one. I see there was a move in. Oh, that should have also, it's all simple interest. So yeah, I'm not going to go through this one, but here you can also see we had a simple interest to simple discount, and here we needed to work out the length of time. So if we have time, I will come back to that one as well. But else I will share it with you guys in any case tonight, and then you can look at how to solve it. Okay, so where my slides are a bit out of sync. So hopefully there is still one. Okay, so here's another one where they give us nearly a day view, but also a month view. So, and they call it the odd period calculations. That is, I think, study unit 3. Let me quickly just make sure for you. 3.3. So in study unit 3.3, they talk about the odd period calculations. So what you will see is that they talk about it being invested for a certain period, which is normally or months or years or something like that. And then they will make it that for the next period, it's a, I don't want to say a strange number of, but it will be then a number of days. what they can also do with a question like this is to have it a first period that is only simple interest, and then a second period that is compound. So that might also be something that they can do. So they can say, for the first 6 months, you're working with a simple interest, you basically work it out, and then use that amount if you then, as a starting point, if you have in a second period, that might be a different method of calculation. So let's read the question and then see what we need to do. Langa wants to start a new business. He can rent a shop in Mamelodi if he pays a deposit at occupation in 6 months' time. He decides to invest his 30,000 for 6 months and to use the accumulated amount as the deposit. His money earns him 14.75 interest per year, compounded monthly on the 1st of every month, and he invests his money on 8th of September. Okay, so if simple interest is used for odd periods and compound interest for the rest of the amount, what can his deposit be equal to? Okay, so how would you guys do this? So we will have an odd period, and then we will have, let's say, a non-odd period the rest of the time. Okay, so it's interesting. I just want to check. So I would have, okay, so it goes 6 months up until 8. Okay, so, and that again, I think it's why it's again important to have your timeline. So we'll start at 8 September. So 8 September until how many days is in September? 30. Then we've got October, November, December, Jan, Feb. So you've got a 5-time period or 5 months. And then you go up until 8 March. Okay, so what is then important is how many days is this and how many days is that. Okay, so from, and again, I don't have the tables with me, but if you look at from 8 September to 1 October, okay, because again, sorry, they said okay, so it's until 1 October. So that period, I would have guessed about 23, 22 days. Okay, so that's 23.
23 days.
Cool. And then the last period was 7 days. So that's 23 days. That is 7 days. So what you will do is 23 plus 7 gives you 30. So for your first period, it would have been your interest. I'm just going to write the whole thing down, and then again, as I share it later, you can. So that will be your simple interest part, will be the 30 days. So 30 days divided by 365. And then your your compound will be remember monthly, so we need to divide by 12, but then it is 5 months. Okay, so that will be your simple interest component, and that will be your compound interest component, and we will multiply it with 30,000. Okay, so that is how your formula will look like. And again, you can see these numbers very close to one another. And the only reason why they're close to one another is because to see if you get the days correct. That is the only reason. So again, it will be interesting to see if one uses different formulas and things like that, and rounding off it, if it then does actually impact your answers, which I think it will do. But yeah, sure. It's this one again, it's very close. So I am always worried with numbers that are so close to one another that one maybe make a mistake in the numbers. So my one is 3276. 0.61. See, so there, if so I'm not happy with this. If you So let me quickly check what was the answers. And let's just make this bigger. Because again, it by just, okay, so that was with 5/12, so that is fine. Oh, okay. But that's fine. The 50 will be, yes.
Hello?
Yes.
You write 30/365 instead of 23. Let us check what's wrong.
Yeah, I'm thinking also that it is with me that is not, I don't put in my formula in, I round it off and not keep it in my memory. So let me, while you guys are working it out, I'm quickly going to go to Excel and just quickly see if I can get the same answer in Excel.
Why? Manje wabuza u9 into ekhona. Buka lo muntu ondlulile la. Buka, 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 buka.
Okay, so I'm just the one just quickly typing it in Excel. I'll can share the Excel spreadsheet with you guys later as well. Because yeah, please. So when you guys are doing this, what I now definitely have seen is if you round numbers off, you will get a different answer to what you need to have as the answer. So please so it does make a difference. The 7. Okay, so it does make a difference. Let me quickly show you. And you're right. So where I added the 30 together, it does give you a different answer. So you need to have it exactly as on the timeline. I will share the Excel with you as well, but you guys are right. So you can't, like I did, add the two together. You need to work that out, when you need to work that out, and when you need to work that out. I wanted to take a shortcut and just add the two together. At least we are doing it now and not in the exam. So don't take the shortcut because it will not work out. So what you need to do is, that should be 23. And then here on, we will add another calculation of 0.1475 times 7 divided by 365. Okay, so I wanted to take a shortcut. Don't take the shortcut. Unfortunately, you need to work that out, and that, multiply all together, and then you will get your answer of option 3. 10. But here is, again, it will show you that. And just zoom in to get the final answer. The other one that you might get is something called continuous compounding. And that is nearly, you will, again, there's a few formulas that comes out of the original one. So the original formula for continuous compounding is your future value will be your present value times the E sign that then looks at your time period. So what will happen is, if they ask you to work out maybe one of the other options, we need to change that formula into one of the others. So if they ask us a time period, we can work it out. So if they ask us, they can give us the present value or the future value, the present value, and then they maybe ask us what the interest rate is. So things like that is possible. What I have is that, well, give you a present value. They give you a future value. They give you a time period, and you need to work out what the rate was. So again, this is something that you can get. Probably, if I look at where it is in the study guide, so it's probably more part of your next assignment, but it will be definitely, it can be one of them. So I just want to copy the formula over, so that we can just work from the formula. Again, you guys as well, use the formulas that are there. You don't need to work it out again. You don't need to also need to study it or anything like that. Just want to see why now it doesn't want to. And let me write it down. It seems I've got now a problem with my screen that went every time I've disappeared. So now it seems like it's stuck again. Okay, so the formula that we are going to use is S is equal to PECT. Okay, so with how we would have now gone into simplifying and things like that, we needed to change it. So we would have divided by P on both sides. Then our formula works is to get rid of that, we need to take ln on the one side or on both sides, but then this will happen, that we can say, and then because we want the interest rate, that one will keep, so we will divide by t on both sides, so that will fall away. And you can also see when we look at this formula, that is exactly what they did. So again, I will share the formula, but let's quickly. So ln of future value 3798 divided by 2800, and we divide by 42 divided by 12. So remember, it is months, so we need to get a yearly number for that. So the first thing I would do is to say 3798 divided by 2800, which is 1.36, but let's just change the decimals a bit. So 1.3564. If I take ln of that, I get 0.3049. And that I will need to divide by 42 divided by 12, which is 3.5. So I will need to divide that by 3.5, which will give me 0.0871. And if I multiply that by 100 to get a percentage, I get the 8.7%, which is option 1. So in this question, basically, you needed, with a continuous compounding, you needed basically we used that one and reworked it a bit so that we can isolate the C that in the continuous compounding is the interest rate. And you can see this is exactly the same what the memo said. So again, I think what is very important in study unit 2 and 3 nearly is you get the formulas, but in a few of the examples, you will need to change the formula a bit to get to your final answers. And I think that is important. So there you will need to nearly manipulate the formulas in a way that you can use it. Okay, so I think let's stop there for tonight. I will schedule, or I'll ask Bronwyn at UNISA to schedule some time for us for Monday, so that at least we can cover some bit of chapter 4 with you on Monday, so that if you still have time in the evening to complete the assignment, you can do that. Then just everybody that is not on my WhatsApp group, just send me a WhatsApp to 0837908387 to join it, or you can just click on the link that's in the group to also join it. Then on there, I will, on the WhatsApp group, I'll send you all of this information that we've gone through tonight. The recording I'll send to you, and then I'll also send you the link to the session on Monday, because it will probably only be sent to you on Monday. But I will make sure that we schedule something for Monday, because of your second assignment that is due on Monday. Okay. Have a very good evening, everyone. I'm gonna stop the recording, but just did this help? Just want to get some